This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Hey, what's up, and welcome to QnA, the show where I take your questions and answer them here in video format. A ton of questions to get into, so let's just jump into it. First question comes from Mimi Siko, who says, "What do the Browns have do the Browns have the money to give Cooper what he wants?" The Browns have the money to give Cooper $25 million, $23 million, or $26 million, whatever it is that he wants over the next 2 or 3 years. That's not the issue with Amari Cooper. The issue with Amari Cooper has nothing to do with the salary cap as far as the Browns' ability to give the money, right? This isn't a situation where the Browns would love to pay Amari Cooper, but don't want to spend the money or don't have the money or flexibility in the cap. This is about the Browns trying to retain flexibility, and this is about a wide receiver who's going to be on the wrong side of 30 by the time a 3-year deal would be over with. I think that's the issue. If Amari Cooper were 25, this deal would have been done 2 years ago. But since he is approaching the wrong side of 30, this deal becomes a lot more complicated. The Browns also want to retain some flexibility past 2026 so they can know what direction that they want to go in. Either they're going to load up on this Deshaun Watson era again, or they're going to kind of reset and move on from it. So tons of things for the Browns to consider. And given that Amari Cooper is 30, given that they have younger wide receivers on the roster that they like, it's probably not a priority to them to give Amari Cooper a 3-year deal, especially since he's under contract for this year. And if we're being honest, this year is the year that after it, Amari Cooper might not make as much sense on the roster. So for the Browns, I don't see them going out of their way to give Amari Cooper a long-term deal. Maybe like a short-term 1 or 2 year extension, but not a long-term deal in my eyes. But the next question comes from the Spartan, who says, "If you had to choose just one wide receiver, running back, or tight end to reach your full potential this season, which do you think would be the most beneficial for the Browns, taking in control their contract, current skill level, and ceiling?" Jerry Jeudy. I mean, this is an obvious one for me. Look, David Njoku is going to need a new contract, so even if he does break out, he's going to be more expensive, which it's fine. It's David Njoku. You don't mind paying a ton for David Njoku, especially when he's still going to be on the right side of 30 if you give him like a 3-year deal, or he'll be like 30 or 31. So you don't mind that. When you look at running back, yeah, we've seen Nick Chubb ball out before. So like me thinking Nick Chubb's going to hit his full potential, that's not a big deal there. But if Jerry Jeudy hits and becomes a #1 receiver and he has 3 years left on this $17 million deal, I mean, you're talking about being almost 50% under market value for a player like that. And that would be a huge plus for the Cleveland Browns if they can get it. So yeah, Jerry Jeudy, it would probably be the biggest one there of the options that you mentioned. Next question comes from Fresh Walnut, who says, "I heard on Twitter that people see Mo Hurst possibly being the odd man out in the defensive tackle room. I think guys like Harris being able to play inside outside makes the room more flexible. What do you think the room will end up being?" Mo Hurst probably gonna make the team, man. I would wait until we see like preseason games to really get on the whole cut candidate thing. I think people doing cut candidate stuff when it's not really contract related, like it's not like a contract cut, it's a performance cut, super premature in June. So no, I wouldn't buy anything that you're hearing about Mo Hurst maybe being cut or being a cut candidate. He's going to be on the bubble because he's going to be like either the 4th or 5th defensive tackle. And those guys are always on the bubble, but I think he's likely to make the team. They wouldn't have brought him back if they didn't think he was likely to make the team. The next question comes from Rats 95. Would you give Amari Cooper a 3-year contract? So you're asking me, if I was the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, would I give Amari Cooper a 3-year deal? And the question is, it depends on what kind of 3-year deal we're talking about. And this is what it all comes down to, right? Would I give Amari Cooper 2 years of guarantees and then a 3rd year with no guarantees or little to no guarantees where I have some flexibility? In a heartbeat, I'll give him $25 million a year, or $26 million a year for that, right? I'll give him 3 years, 80 million. Well, not 80, that's a little bit much, but 3 years, 78 million. 3 years, 78 million with what? 50 or 60 guaranteed in that contract. 60 is a bit high, but I'll give him 50, right? 50 guaranteed in that contract. I think the Browns, me personally, what I think the Browns are thinking is maybe a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal with like 30 guaranteed, right? Like maybe that's like as far as they're willing to go, with 1 year fully guaranteed, and the next year they have the flexibility to move on if they want to. It basically works like a team option. But yeah, would I give Amari Cooper a 3-year contract? It depends on what kind of 3-year contract we're talking about. If we're just talking about guaranteed money for the first 2 years and no guarantees for the third, yeah, I would probably swing some money that way for Amari Cooper, because I think he's going to age well. But do I think the Browns are going to give him a 3-year contract? No, absolutely not. I don't think they're going to do that. We'll see. Again, I'm talking about a real 3-year contract, not like my agent said this is a 3-year contract to the press, which is like one guaranteed year and then a bunch of money that's not really there unless like they want to keep you around. Wilson Damien says, Q, when the heck are you going to finish the Iceberg series? Browns news is always welcome, of course, but the videos about the lore, the history of the franchise, and other off-the-field topics are underexplored and underrated topic for making great contact. Sorry about that. My cat is having a day right now. All right. So the Iceberg series. I was going through the Iceberg series and I think I had a part 3, like a finale video ready to go for the Iceberg, but it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. And the series as a whole wasn't what I wanted it to be. And during the season, it's hard because I don't have the time to make a video like that, what I want it to be, because I'm uploading so frequently. So this might be something that I revisit during the time that I have left in the off season, or something that I revisit maybe during the bye week next year or this year. Because if I do the Iceberg, I want it to be good, right? I want it to be a satisfying Iceberg video. And what I had previously just wasn't, I felt like a satisfactory conclusion to that whole series. And kind of the way it had to be delivered also wasn't optimal either, in my opinion. But, things had to get done the way they had to get done, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what happened to it. It's on pause. I might revisit it, during one of the probably during the bye week next year, because I want people to see it, right? And if I put it out now when Browns content isn't that hot, it's tough to kind of get eyes on that video the way I want it to. So, it's a little bit of business involved with that too. Brandon says, what grade would you give Barry's 2020 draft? I give it a B- for Wills. I give it a B-. Wills equals a B-. Delpit B+. Phelps, Elliott C-. Bryant C. Harris C. DPJ B. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I would scale these grades. So with Jed Wills, yeah, I would say a B-. B grade there's fair. Grant Delpit, I would give Grant Delpit an A grade there. Jacob Phillips, I would give that a C. It's about the average of what you do with the pick in that round. Was he a 3rd round pick? He played a little bit. He started a little bit. That's about average for a 3rd round pick. Jordan Elliott, I would give that a C+. He got a contract extension. He's an extension level player. So, you do that in the 3rd round, it's at least a C+. Harrison Bryant, again, another guy who got a contract somewhere else, so he's still in the league, C+. Nick Harris, same deal, C+. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones, you land on anybody who could start for 2 years in the 6th round, it's an A. Right, if you consider what round they were selected in, that's an A grade. So yeah, it's a pretty damn good draft, to be honest with you. And that draft does hold up quite well. They got a lot out of that draft class. So that's why I would grade it. Basher says, hey, Q, so anxious to see our defense in year 2 under Schwartz. My question is, can we get better with essentially the same personnel minus Awak and Taki? I feel like our defense really got exposed in the playoffs with screens, and new linebackers can get better. We got to stop saying every time the defense has a bad game that they got exposed. They just had a bad game, right? I don't think they got exposed versus Houston. I think they just played well. They were sloppy on some concepts that they usually aren't sloppy on. They were sloppy with tackling. I think that was the biggest thing in that Houston game. The tackling effort was just not there in the way that it needed to be. They had a bad game. They've had games where they've handled the concepts that Houston has thrown at them fine. They did it against Houston, albeit without CJ Stroud, but they've done it against better quarterbacks than CJ Stroud, like Lamar Jackson. So it's one of those things where I think we tend to use the word exposed every time a team has a bad game. But the truth is, sometimes you just have a bad game. It's not that your whole philosophy has been exposed. You just didn't play well. And I think that's what happened in that Houston game. So is it possible the Browns defense can get better? Yeah. Because in year 2, you're going to have more of an ability to adjust. You're going to have more experience in that system. You're going to be better at some of the zone coverage things. Yeah, I think it's possible to get better. How much better? I don't know, but like, how much better do they need to get than they were last year? Like, that defense was so good, they won 11 games with 5 different quarterbacks. That defense was so good last year that we legitimately thought this team could make a run with Joe Flacco at 39 years old. That's how good that defense was. How much better do you want them to be is a question too. Like, how much better can they be? Like, that's about as good as it gets what the Browns were last year. You complain about the road defense, this and that. A lot of that stuff has to do with the dysfunction on offense because of all the injuries on offense. So, yeah, I mean, can the defense get better? I don't know. They were pretty damn good last year, but that's not what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the defense improving. The offense has to get better. That's what needs to get better. And that starts with the quarterback position. Mervin Bernard says, where does Elijah Moore fall to in the wide receiver pecking order? Down 1 spot to number 4. He's going to be below David Njoku. He's going to be below Amari Cooper. He's going to be below Jerry Jeudy. There he is, number 4. He's probably going to get 80 targets, maybe 90 or 100 if somebody gets injured, but 80. And I think that'd be good for him. But that's going to be it for this week's Q&A. Y'all, thank you for the questions. Y'all have a great day. Have you better night. Peace.